being bismoched. Sweet LMA's being courted, but the darling ain't being churched. Music. Now, gather around, young, 'cause I got a few things to say to you. Cool, cats. Granny's going to lay a few words on us. Go. Granny. The Beverly Hillbillies wasn't supposed to work. Critics hated it. Intellectuals mocked it. NCBS executives feared it would destroy music, the network's reputation. But 60 million Americans disagreed, making it the most watched show on television. Behind the banjo music and the cement pond, nothing was simple. Actors walked off set, fortunes, music, were lost, and one decision nearly prevented the show from existing at all. These are 20 secrets about the Beverly Hillbillies that stayed, music, buried for decades. The bonus, a rusted truck that became worth more than the mansion. Music, grab your possum stew. This gets wild. Number 20. The show was created as revenge against New York critics that I did the first episodes alone simply because of Beverly Hills, and Paul Henning didn't create the Beverly Hillbillies to entertain America. He created it to prove critics wrong. Music. For years, New York entertainment journalists had dismissed rural comedy as lowbrow garbage beneath serious television. They praised sophisticated urban sitcoms while sneering at anything that featured farmers, small towns, or country values. Henning, who'd grown up in Missouri and never forgot his roots, took it personally. He'd been writing for television since the early music days, working on shows like The George Burns and Gracie Allen Show, watching network executives vote to coastal elite opinions, music, about what constituted quality programming. So, he decided to create the most aggressively rural show possible, a middle finger disguised as family entertainment. The premise was simple. Take the poorest, most backward hillbilly family imaginable and drop them into the wealthiest, music, most pretentious neighborhood in America. Watch the collision. CBS was skeptical, worried the concept was too broad, too unsophisticated, but Henning had a track record and they gave him a shot. When the Beverly Hillbillies premiered in September 1962, critics savaged it exactly as expected, and then it became the #1 show in America almost immediately, proving that regular people didn't care what New York music thought. Number 19. Buddy Epson was cast after a nightmare experience on The Wizard of Oz. Here. Go away and let us alone. Oh, scared, huh? Afraid, huh? How long could this take? Oh, wait a minute. Hold it. How could a bunch of hillbillies possibly buy a mansion like this? Let's take when Buddy Epson signed on to play Jed Clampett. Music. He was 54 years old and carrying trauma from Hollywood's darkest chapter. 23 years earlier, he'd been casted as the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz, a role, music, that nearly killed him. The aluminum powder makeup used on set poisoned him, coating his lungs, causing breathing problems so severe he was hospitalized for music weeks. He lost the role to Jack Haley and spent years recovering both physically and emotionally. The experience made him cautious about Hollywood, suspicious, music, of studios that prioritize production over people. When Paul Henning approached him about the music, Beverly Hillbillies, Epson was working steadily but not starring in anything significant. He'd become a character actor, reliable but invisible. The role of Jed Clampett offered something different, a lead role on a network sitcom with a producer who treated actors like human beings. Epson read the script and recognized something special, a character written with dignity despite the comedic premise. Jed wasn't a fool, but he was wise, decent, music, and honest, just out of place in Beverly Hills. Epson accepted the role and transformed music it into something iconic, bringing warmth and authenticity that elevated the entire show. Number 18. Music. Irene Ryan was a vaudeville legend nobody recognized. Laughter. Will you change a dime, please? Sure. And then what's he say? Really, Dean? People are people. Yeah. Oh, certainly. Hillbillies are no different than anybody else. Or they might. Granny wasn't played by an old woman. She was played by Irene Ryan, a 60-year-old vaudeville veteran who'd been performing since childhood. Ryan had spent decades, music, on stage touring the country, perfecting timing and physical comedy in front of live audiences who demanded perfection. By the time she auditioned for the Beverly Hillbillies, she'd done everything: radio, music, film, theater, even early television. But she'd never been a star. Always the supporting player, the reliable music professional who made everyone else look good. Paul Henning saw her audition and knew immediately she was Granny. On music, Ryan brought ferocity to the role, playing Daisy Mae Moses as a tiny tornado of rage, and music, superstition. She did her own stunts, insisted on physical comedy that would have broken actresses half her age, and delivered every line with perfect timing. What audiences didn't know was that Ryan was younger than Buddy Eason, who played her son-in-law. Makeup and costume made her look ancient, but underneath she was energetic, athletic, and completely music committed to the bit. Offset, she'd take off the granite costume and transform back into a music, sophisticated woman who loved jazz and fine dining. The contrast was jarring, proof of how completely she disappeared into the character. Number 17, Donna Douglas. Almost turned down. Music. The role of Ellie made at UMMO on Buzzing Sound Buzzing. You're a young lady now. Start minding your manners and fixing yourself up real nice and wearing dresses. Ellie Mae Clampett became one of television's most iconic characters. Music. But Donna Douglas initially didn't want to play her. Douglas was trying to build a serious acting career, taking music, dramatic roles, studying method acting, positioning herself as the next big dramatic star. When her agent sent her the script for the Beverly Hillbillies, she was insulted. A dumb blonde who talked to animals and couldn't count past 10. It felt like a step backward, a return, music, to the cheesecake role she'd been trying to escape. But her agent convinced her to audition, arguing that network television exposure could open doors. Douglas showed up skeptical and left, music, intrigued. Paul Henning's script had more depth than she'd expected, and the character, while naive, had genuine sweetness and strength. She accepted the role with reservations, planning to use it as a stepping stone. Then, music. The show became a phenomenon. Diesel Wasser. Suddenly, Donna Douglas was famous, recognized everywhere. Music. Her face on magazine covers and lunchboxes. The fame was overwhelming and ultimately limiting. Casting directors saw her as Ellie Mae and nothing else, making the serious dramatic role she'd wanted impossible to get. Music. The character she'd almost turned down became her blessing in her curse, launching her to stardom while trapping her there forever. Number 16. Max Baer. Music. Jr. hated playing Jethro. You don't know I got it armor-plated. I'm a walking tank with this on. Max Baer Jr. came from boxing royalty. On music, his father, the former heavyweight champion of the world. He'd grown up around fame, around athletes and celebrities, music, and wanted to prove he was more than his father's son. Acting seemed like the path. In music, when he was good at it, handsome and charming with natural screen presence. Then he get cast as Jethro Bowden. Music, and everything changed. Jethro was an idiot, a country bumpkin whose stupidity drove most of the show's comedy. Baer played the role perfectly, committing fully toothed character's dim-witted enthusiasm. Music, but off-screen, he resented it. He was intelligent, educated, nothing like the character he portrayed. People started treating him like Jethro in real life, talking slowly, making assumptions about his intelligence. It infuriated him. He tried launching other projects during the show's run, directing episodes, developing scripts, proving he had range, but nobody cared. To audiences, he was Jethro, and that was all he'd ever be. After the Beverly Hillbillies ended, music, Baer struggled to find work. Casting directors couldn't see past the character, and he eventually left acting altogether, becoming a music successful businessman and later getting involved in legal battles over Beverly Hillbillies, merchandise and casino branding rights. Number 15. The Clampett Mansion was Ariel Beverly Hills' estate. He shaped for himself, often with his own hands, in one of the loveliest spots in Britain, just 25 miles from London. Fabulous Beverly Hills estate of Mr. Jed Clampett. There's the beautiful front lawn which the Clampetts almost plowed up and planted and cropped. The sprawling mansion where the Clampetts lived wasn't music, a set. It was Chartwell, a 10-acre estate in Baer that had been built in 1933 and was one of music Los Angeles' most expensive properties. The production rented it for exterior shots, filming the Clampetts arriving, sitting by the pool, and interacting in the driveway. Interior scenes were filmed on sound stages, but that exterior grounded the show in reality, making the fish-out-of-water premise feel authentic. The mansion's owners tolerated the production because the rental income was substantial, but they had rules. Filming couldn't disrupt their lives, couldn't damage property, couldn't turn the estate into a circus. The crew learned to work quickly, getting shots efficiently before packing up and disappearing. What made it even more interesting was the estate's history. It had been owned by wealthy industrialists, had hosted Hollywood legends, had been featured in other films and television shows. The Beverly Hillbillies just added another chapter to its story. Years later, after the show ended, the mansion changed hands multiple times, eventually being purchased by billionaire Jerry Parenchio for over $7 million. Though later owners spent much more, it remains one of Los Angeles' most iconic estates. Music, forever associated with the Clampetts that despite only being their home on camera. Number 14. The show made CBS billions, but the cast saw little of it. A man named Jethro kept his family. And then one day, don't understand them. And I saw a fellow who the Beverly Hillbillies was a music, money-printing machine for CBS. At its peak, it was a most-watched show on television, commanding premium advertising rates and generating massive profits. A music, reruns sold to local stations for record amounts. Merchandise flooded stores. The network was swimming in money, but the cast had signed standard music contracts before anyone knew the show would be a hit, locking them into salaries that didn't reflect the show's success. Buddy Epson as the lead earned music the most, but even his salary was a fraction of what modern stars make. Donna Douglas and Baer Jr. earned less music, and Irene, despite being essential to the show, was paid even less than them. They renegotiated over the years, fighting for raises, but CBS held the leverage. The actors, music, were replaceable, not also the network believed. None of them owned ownership stakes or profit participation. Standard practice in the early 60s, but devastating in retrospect. When the show ended, they walked away with their salaries, music, and nothing more. Meanwhile, CBS continued owning millions from syndication, music, home video, and streaming rights. The cast watched their creation generate fortunes they'd, music, never touch. A reminder that television success doesn't guarantee financial security. Number 13. The theme song almost got the music show canceled. Listen to a story about a man named Music, Bailey. Come and listen to a story about a man named Jed. A poor Maley kept his family and then one music day he was shooting at some food. The ballot opening each episode explaining how Jed struck oil and moved to Beverly Hills became one of television's most recognizable theme songs. Music, but network executives hated it initially. They thought it was too country, too unsophisticated. Music, too much information crammed into one song. They wanted something modern, something that fit music, the slick Beverly Hills setting rather than highlighting the hillbilly origins. Paul Henning fought back hard. The song was essential, he argued, providing context. Audiences needed to understand music, the premise. Without it, viewers might be confused about why these people lived in a mansion. CBS reluctantly agreed to test it for the pilot, reserving the right to change it later. But audience response was overwhelming. People loved the song, learned the words, sang along. It became part of the show's identity, inseparable from the Beverly Hillbillies brand. CBS backed down, letting the theme, music, stay. The song was written and performed by Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs, bluegrass legends who had, music, been playing together for years. Their involvement brought authenticity and credibility, connecting the showtorial country music traditions. The theme became so iconic that it outlived the series. Used in parodies, referenced in other shows, instantly recognizable decades later to people who'd never even seen an episode. Number 12.